You heard Donald Trump say on a recent Meet the Press episode that he'll abolish birthright citizenship when he takes office. But can he really do it? The short answer is no. Stay with me and I'll explain why, and why birthright citizenship is such an important part of our history and our identity as a nation, especially us African Americans. Hello, everybody. This is civil rights attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Each and every week, we bring you at least one legal analysis of some trending story regarding politics, policies, personalities, or pop culture to empower you with the information you need to defy this unjust legal system and to nullify systemic racism. If that interests you, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll get notified every time we upload one of these powerful and informative videos. Before we get started, as always, go over to Amazon.com, grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice, so that you can learn the many ways that public schools mistreat African American males and what you can do to help your son, your nephew, your grandson, your godson, whatever the case may be. And I believe you will thank me later. All right? So go over there and get your copy. All right, so let's play the video where Trump said, in response to a question from the host of Meet the Press, that he would, in fact, abolish birthright citizenship.
You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
You know, we're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it. It's ridiculous. Do you know we're the only country in the world that has it? Do you know that? There's not one other country.
What about the legal challenge, inevitable legal challenges that'll come?
Do you know we have thousands of judges? Somebody walks onto our land, and we have to now say, welcome to the United States. They could be a criminal or not a criminal. We release them into our country. It's called catch and release. We release them into our country. Wait, just 1 second. And now they get them lawyers. And the lawyers are good lawyers. And everybody has a lawyer. And do you know how many judges we have? Thousands. Thousands. Now, here's what other countries do. They come into the land and they say, I'm sorry, you have to go. And they take them out. Okay? With us, once they touch our land, we're into litigation that lasts for years, costs us hundreds of billions of dollars. We have judges, and I'm sure they're all honest, but I don't know that for a fact. You can imagine what's going on with the judges. But just so you, because I have a lot of judges, I tell you what, I know more about judges than any human being in history. Look, we have judges. Every time somebody puts 2 feet or even 1 foot on a piece of our land, it's welcome to long-term litigation. Other countries, every other country, when somebody walks on and they see that they're here illegally, they walk them off, they take them back to where they came from. We have to get rid of this system. It's killing our country.
All right, so let's clear up some confusion, because he switched from birthright citizenship to due process when he said people could put 1 foot on American soil and they would become citizens. That's not true. That's not true that they can put 1 foot on American soil and they become a citizen. What he's talking about is a person who puts 1 foot on American soil does have due process rights. All right. So if he's charged with a crime, then the United States is obligated to appoint him a lawyer and, again, to respect his due process rights. It doesn't automatically grant him citizenship. All right. So, in fact, let's read the Fifth Amendment so we can straighten this up. It's very important. All right. So the due process clause of the Fifth Amendment says no person, and notice I have that underlined. It doesn't say no citizen. It says no person, no person who comes on this land and are charged with a crime shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, which includes having a hearing, which includes having a lawyer. So those are some of the due process rights people get when they get here. The framers did that. They thought that that was the right thing, the proper thing for a democracy to do. And so that's what, they afford anyone, any person who reached these shores. All right, so that's very different from citizenship. That's due process. You don't get citizenship in this country by simply putting your foot on the soil. That's not how citizenship works. All right? So now that we've cleared that up, let's start with the basics of birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship means any child born in the United States automatically becomes a U.S. citizen, no matter their parents' immigration status, no matter if their parents are a citizen or not. If a child is born here, then that child becomes a citizen under most circumstances. And I say that because there are some exceptions. All right, birthright citizenship does not apply if the child's parents are foreign diplomats. And it doesn't apply to children whose parents are enemies of the United States and are representative of some enemy country. All right, so if they have hostility toward the United States and they are a citizen of a country that is hostile and an enemy to the United States, then that child doesn't become a citizen either. But for everyone else, being born here means citizenship. But here's an interesting question. When I was putting this video together, I thought about what about Native Americans who obviously owned the land before the Europeans arrived? Well, Native Americans didn't automatically have birthright citizenship for a long time, even though they were born here and again had the country or owned the land before the Europeans arrived. The 14th Amendment didn't grant citizenship to Native Americans because they were considered part of a sovereign tribal nation, not under U.S. jurisdiction. This means that for decades, Native Americans were not citizens unless they gave up their tribal affiliation or gained citizenship through specific laws. And it wasn't until the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924 that all Native Americans born in the U.S. were recognized as citizens. This highlights how the 14th Amendment's subject to jurisdiction thereof clause has been interpreted in specific ways over time. So back to Trump. He's claimed he can abolish birthright citizenship, maybe with an executive order. Can he do that? No. And here's why. The 14th Amendment is part of the Constitution. Presidents cannot amend the Constitution by executive order. The only way to change the Constitution or to amend the Constitution is through the process outlined in Article 5. All right, here's how Article 5 works. First, there has to be a proposal. That proposal has to come from 2/3 of both the House and the Senate, or 2/3 of state legislatures must call for a constitutional convention. After there's been a proposal of an amendment, then that amendment has to be ratified. And that requires 3/4 of the states. In other words, 36 out of 50 must approve the amendment. Right now, MAGA doesn't control 2/3 of Congress or 3/4 of the states. So going through Article 5 is not going to happen. But here's where things get tricky. The Supreme Court can reinterpret the Constitution. So what if SCOTUS issued a ruling narrowing the scope of birthright citizenship? For example, they could exclude children of undocumented immigrants by reinterpreting the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That kind of decision would be a seismic shift, but it's not unthinkable, especially with today's Supreme Court. All right, so this leads to a bigger question. Why is birthright citizenship so important? Well, after the Civil War, it was essential for African Americans. The 14th Amendment overturned the Dred Scott decision, which had declared that black people, enslaved or free, were not citizens. The citizenship clause guaranteed that everyone born here, regardless of race or ancestry, was a U.S. citizen. That's the bigger picture. And that's why it concerns me when I hear anyone talking about modifying birthright citizenship. So the citizenship clause in the 14th Amendment was revolutionary because for African Americans, it meant we were no longer chattel property. We had legal standing. We could enforce contracts, own property, and our families were protected under the law. That was also because of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Now, the inclusion of children born to immigrant parents was no accident. In other words, that was put in the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment on purpose. And the reason for that is pretty obvious. Our ancestors, that is, African Americans, were brought here as aliens, enslaved, without rights or recognition. So birthright citizenship ensured we were included in the fabric of this nation, no matter where our parents came from. And of course, we know our ancestors came here from Africa. So when Trump talks about ending birthright citizenship, it's not just about immigration. It's about undoing a cornerstone of equality and justice in America. Yes, we need secure borders and we need immigration reformed. But targeting birthright citizenship is not the answer. It undermines the very principles that helped us rise from slavery and equality. So let me close with this. Trump cannot abolish birthright citizenship with his pen. In other words, by executive order. But a Supreme Court decision, that's a whole nother thing. And that's a risk we can't ignore. So stay informed, stay vigilant, and most importantly, let's protect what makes this country unique. I am Attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Thank you for watching this video. And until the next time, peace.